JF Stretford, Paddock, that's Joe Smith. Manchester United 4, Istanbul Basaksehir. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
That's probably the 10th different way I've said it. We won 4-1 in the Champions League. Bruno got a brace. Marcus Rashford got one. Daniel James got a goal as well. Wasn't a perfect performance. Joe, you were on the watch-along, as everyone has probably realised. What do you make of that?
I thought it was good. First half especially, very good. Especially after the West Brom game. Not just I know we won against West Brom, but the performance against West Brom was one of them where you go, I thought we were past this now.
Yeah.
I thought we could make chances. I thought we could press teams. I thought we didn't look like we weren't bothered. It was one of those performances where you go, we've won, but it didn't feel like a win. Whereas, to turn it around from there and to come out and put together a performance where not only did we win, we deserved to win. We played well. Key players played well. We got players playing from the start who have never played from the start before. We got players playing 90 minutes who have never played 90 minutes before. There was a lot. We were able to rest players and still win 4-1. There was a lot to be happy about in that game. Not just the fact that we won 4-1, but there were these nice things underneath. The change in the tone of the players, the change in the style of play, the change in the personnel. The fact, like I said, that these players got to play some extra minutes who've hardly played so far. All brilliant.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you look at it, 4-1 in the Champions League, especially to a team we've already lost to, that puts us, 1 foot, shall we say, into the knockout stages. I think you can't be too disheartened by that. I mean, it wasn't all plain sailing. We know there was, we made some of the subs, there was defensively, we still looked a little bit ropey, didn't we? Especially in that second half after the changes. Axel Tuanzebe came on. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but there was a couple of moments where they got back into the game. They obviously got a goal at 3-1 with 10, 15 minutes to go, whatever it was. You sort of worry, you think, hang on a minute, is this going to be backs to the wall thing? Where it just shows you that there's still that little bit of nervousness with this United team at times.
Yeah, there's going to be that for a while, though, isn't there? Because we aren't a great team yet. We are a good team with a couple of great players.
Yeah.
But we aren't a great team. So these are the sorts of games where when you aren't a great team, one or two things go wrong and you go, oh, you just go, do you know that sort of like you tense up and you just, as fans we were watching, and first half it was great, you could have a laugh, we were enjoying ourselves, some brilliant goals, I'm sure we'll go through them in a bit more detail, the actual how the game went. But when Istanbul got that goal, 3-1 down, 3-1 up, well they were 3-1 down, you still sort of think, it should be fine. But there was something inside where you were like, if they get one more, which
I think you
impossible,
mentioned it on the watch along, to be fair. I think you said, we've got to be careful here. Guys, do get involved in the comments and do hit the like button as well. Let us know what you think, who's your man of the match, what you thought of the performance. Our title obviously says lost without Bruno, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, we didn't lose, but Bruno made the difference, didn't he? And that first half performance, that first hour when he was on, we were like a different team. I mean, that first sort of 30, 40 minutes from him, he was just, he was masterclass, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's incredible, isn't he? And I think we're getting to the point now, we were saying it on the watch along, where calling him world class, when someone comes from a league that isn't one of the top 5 leagues, as people, we know what people refer to as the top 5 leagues. When someone comes from one of the leagues that aren't one of those top leagues, it takes people a while to allow themselves to think first and then to say, this is a world-class player. It takes people a little while to I feel comfortable saying that he's a world-class player.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes is a world-class player.
Of course he is. Of course.
There's no denying that. I felt comfortable saying that for a little while. I've got to the point today where I'm also willing to say I think he's the best midfielder in the world.
I saw you guys saying that,
for the
in the watch-along.
It's not like 2 months.
Right.
For the last 12 months, I think I know Kevin De Bruyne does things that Bruno can't do and Bruno does things that Kevin De Bruyne can't do, but there are no midfielders in the world that I can think of that are getting incredible numbers of assists and more than a goal every other game. And it's not like, he's a midfielder, but it's not like he ever plays up front. He isn't a striker. He's doing things from midfield that no one else in the world is doing at the moment. So you have to say, for those reasons, I think currently, and not just the last couple of weeks, for the last 6 to 12 months, I think he's been the best in the world. I
mean, when you look at that, when you say he's the best midfielder in the world, I think is that OTT? But then I think, who would I swap Bruno Fernandes with? I don't think I'd swap him for anyone.
No,
I'm not being like melodramatic there. I don't think I would. I think if you offered me, and City fans can clear this, I don't care. If you said, like De Bruyne or whatever, I think Bruno, you stick with him. You would. And also, he's been that good for us. He's been unplayable.
And there's this thing with De Bruyne as well, where people. And I've said this, I say this quite regularly because I think it's an underrated part of football.
Yeah.
Availability is a trait is a quality that a footballer can have. Not getting injured is something that I would put as an extra tick on a footballer's resume. I don't think just because De Bruyne was injured that season, so you can't count that. You can count that because I know that all players get injured, all players miss games, but the fact that Bruno rarely misses a match is something that he has over Kevin De Bruyne, because Kevin De Bruyne, we know, was had his injury problems. I think the fact that he's fit almost every game, he runs as much as anyone in every game. All of these things are things that, like Harry Maguire's another one. Another good example, we go, oh, he's not quite as good as this person at this, he's not quite as good. Eric Bailly's quicker than him. Eric Bailly was a big one for a long time. Harry Maguire's fit and available every single match of the season. Yeah. And that is a massive bonus and a massive boost when you're talking about how good or how valuable or whether you would trade one player for another. He plays every game, Bruno.
You can't dismiss that. You're right. You got to remember, Paul Pogba's on his day as a world-class player, but we had an issue with his injuries. That was the big problem. He hardly played last season. Bruno comes in, plays every game. We go on that magnificent run that takes us into the top 3, and that's where we end up. Guys, do get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. A little bit of criticism of Harry Maguire. A couple of people saying he was disappointing tonight. A lot of praise for Donny van der Beek. We will get into the stats as well. We've got the stats up here. Obviously, the one that matters, Manchester United 4. Istanbul 1. 16 shots from United, 13 from Istanbul. 8 on target for United, 4 for them. 52% possession for us. 83% pass accuracy, 83% for them as well. 2 clear chances each, which shows you that we're
But the one stat that counts, Jay, what is it?
Manchester United 4.
No, 2 offsides to Manchester United and 1 offside to Istanbul. If they'd had more offsides, they probably would have won the game.
That's how you win the game of football. Let us know what you think as well. A lot of love for... see, this is what I mean. People watch the game, don't they? And everyone has a different opinion. Some people saying Van der Beek was man of the match. Other people saying Van der Beek was average. Joe, who's right?
I would say the people who are saying that he was excellent are right.
Yeah.
If I got that sentence out properly. I thought he was very good. And I think, whether it's his second time starting or third time starting, he's not started many games for United, and there's been a lot of clamour for Van der Beek play more games. He's the difference. Why isn't he playing him? Ole's making a mistake by not playing Van der Beek as much. But I personally think, like I thought last season with Mason Greenwood, he's introducing him to this team perfectly. Yeah. He brings him in like, if you think. We've seen a lot of players from Man United play a lot of games and not look good in those games. Even good players. Paul Pogba being one this season where he's played games and you think, no, that's not right, that's not working. One thing I think Ole does very well, with maybe the exception of Pogba, is he allows players who are fringe players or who are coming through as young players to only play in games where they will look good. Right. And we saw it with Mason Greenwood. He allowed him for months and months and months to play in the right game, to play in the Europa League here, to play against this team here, to the point where when he was playing every single week after lockdown, it didn't feel like, he's not had his ups and downs. He's been on this nice, smooth trajectory up because he's picked the games well.
And the timing was perfect, wasn't it? Because it was that run towards the end of the season where... there was a time, I think, last sort of post-lockdown where we needed Mason. We needed the goals that he scored to win us those games that got us into the top 3. An interesting stat that came up was Alex Telles attempted the most crosses against Istanbul, 11, and also created the most chances. How much of a difference does it make to have someone like Alex Telles down that left-hand side who can whip across him?
It makes a massive difference. I know that Luke Shaw got the assist against Istanbul in the last game, didn't he? It was against Istanbul, wasn't it? The cross.
I know he has had some. Yeah, he's had some assists. He's had some assists. He did one in Istanbul against Everton, I think, as well. That he did. But there's not. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. You can tell the difference between Alex Telles and Luke Shaw down that left hand side. Now there can be an argument made defensively that maybe Luke Shaw's better, or it's certainly closer. But going forward, Alex Telles offers you a lot more.
And you look as well. It's like he's taking corners. He's putting the ball. He's whipping balls in. Players are arriving in the box. Like, if you look at the 2 goals that came from Telles crosses, I know he didn't get the assist for either. One was a corner that was nodded away by a Istanbul player, but only to the edge of the box, and Bruno shunted it in the top corner. Yeah. Incredible finish, if anyone hasn't seen it, but like Paul Scholes-esque strike, wasn't it? Arriving on the ball.
Don't say that lightly.
And the second one, he crossed the ball in, the goalie came out, fumbled it, bounced down to Bruno, tapped it in from 6 yards out. But if that ball isn't being put in, or if the ball goes out to Luke Shaw and he looks up and passes it back to the central midfielder on the edge of the box, which tends to be his style a little bit more, the goalie can't fumble the ball, and the defender can't put a bad header on it, because you have to put balls into good areas. And that's the thing where you can go, oh, he didn't get any assists, and we'll look at the end of the season, maybe at Alex Tellez, and we'll say, he was meant to be, look at, he got 10 goals and 10 assists for Porto, and now look at him, he's shit. But games like tonight, where statistically, he isn't going to be adding to those goals and assist numbers, but he made the difference for those first 2 goals tonight. So you've got to give him the credit as the games go on, because you might forget about it otherwise.
100%. You're talking about Bruno Fernandes. He could have had a hat-trick. He got 2 goals. Marcus Rashford wins a penalty, and then, rather bizarrely, you could argue, he takes the penalty when most people expected Bruno, who is our regular penalty taker, who is on a hat-trick, to step up. Marcus takes it, scores. Bruno's been speaking after the game. He said, everyone wants a hat-trick, but after the game in the Premier League, I told Rashi the next one he will take. He is one of the top scorers in the Champions League. I think it will be important for him to keep going there. There's been a little bit of that this season, hasn't there? Different penalty takers and generosity, would you say, almost? With go on, you can have this one, son. And
do you know
that.
something as well that I'd like to point out is
Please
when
do.
Bruno does it, because he's so good, because he scores penalties all the time. When he misses one, I know he ended up scoring the one that counted in the end at the weekend. But when he misses one, and then the next time he goes, you can take this. People go, well done, look at him. He's giving Rashford an extra goal. He's giving Rashford a chase in the top scorers in the Champions League this season. Do you remember last season when Rashford and Pogba, one missed and the other one gave him after? It's a disgrace. You've got to know who your penalty taker is. Just because you miss one don't mean you give it to someone else. The feeling is different when, depending on who the player is, depending on the media perception of that player. Tonight, and he's done it before, we gave one to Rashford in the past as well. Tonight, it feels like, good lad, Bruno. But when we did it last season, when Pogba and Martial
there was the thing one last season where was it at the beginning of the season, Marcus scored one against Chelsea at home. We went to Wolves, and then Pogba took one and missed in it. And I remember Gary Neville in particular was fuming with Pogba, wasn't it?
Exactly.
And then a week later, we got one against Palace that Marcus took, and Gary Neville was even saying that's probably still in his head from Pogba taking that penalty off him. There does seem to be more camaraderie now, don't there? There does seem to be less, or the way that's the perception of it, but it does seem like players are going, you know, you have a go, that's okay. Whereas in the past, it was like, oh, well, that's someone being greedy or someone not having bottle or whatever. And it is weird, you're right, because, you know, when Lukaku gave it to Rashford in Paris, you know, the other week, Rashford was praising him on it. At the time, a lot of people just thought, oh, Lukaku might have bottled that. So it's a good point. Guys, do get us involved in the comments. Let us know what you thought about Cavani as well. Someone said Cavani deserved, Mulu Young says, Cavani deserved 1 goal. Greenwood don't respect him. I think there was a chance one where Greenwood could have squared it, but he didn't. I'm not that surprised. Mason does like to shoot. What do you make of Cavani's performance tonight? He didn't get a goal, but, you know, everyone's been itching for him to start playing that number 9 position. I know they switched, didn't they? They kept alternating. Sometimes he was on the wing, sometimes in the middle. What did you make of him? El Matador.
I thought he was excellent, and I do think he's a bit of a breath of fresh air in that forward line, because, no offense to Martial, but Edinson Cavani is one of the best strikers in the world. Has been one of the best strikers in the world for the last 10 years. Yeah. Anthony Martial is a great player. He's got great attributes. He's quick. He's great on the ball. He's stronger than he looks. His hold-up play is decent. He can bring other players into the game. But that movement, that sort of striker's instinct, that making the run, turning back, making the run the other way, Edinson Cavani is one of the best in the world at that. And he's not as quick as he used to be. He might not have the same sort of, you know, speed and stuff that he used to have, but he's still got that. And you see them three playing it up front together, and he's pulling people out of position, and he's pointing for runs, and he's getting the ball in the inside the box, and he almost scored one as well. He just took a little bit too long on the ball. But I think, and again, this isn't meant to be a dig at Martial, but you do see what it's like when you've got a striker who has played as a striker every single season of their professional career, who has scored 350 goals or whatever ridiculous number that he scored. You do see a bit of that quality. And I think them three playing up front tonight, I'd like to see those three play together more often, because we look really dangerous in the first half.
No, definitely. And I don't think, you're right, it's not a criticism. You'd expect someone like Cavani to have that experience, have that talent. And also, it helps to raise those around you. You saw it with Bruno when he came in. He was pointing and shouting at people in his debut against Wolves. Cavani comes in, he's demanding players playing the ball. He's making those runs that perhaps other strikers wouldn't be making. And it's good to see. And I don't expect Cavani to come in and be prolific in the Premier League. I know this is Champions League. I don't expect him to score 20 goals this season, whatever. But I think he will get goals. He'll get important goals. And also, one thing that you almost can't quantify is the other players can learn off him. And hopefully Anthony Martial can see that movement, see what the sort of passes he's getting. With someone like Bruno in the team, you're always going to get that service, aren't you? Especially now as well, you've got Alex Tellez delivering the goods. So there's every chance that can improve the team as a whole. Also, some people saying that, asking a question here, I think it was from Siri saying, not the Siri, Shri710, whatever that means. Bruno volley goal of the season?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to have a think. I like some of the counter-attack goals. it was definitely probably the nicest strike of the season, I'd say. He just caught it perfectly, didn't he? It reminded me of Adam saying that Martial's penalty against Leipzig was good. He likes Martial a lot, he does. Yeah, it was a brilliant strike, wasn't it?
Ross Murphy says, Cavani, if he can get fit and he's ready, he should start more in the number 9 position. Yeah. Kaviraj says, Cavani's work rate, love heart. Joe hits Oliveira. Says, Tony looked better coming from the left. Someone else saying, Conor Cleary says, Haaland so replace Cavani when he finishes up. I mean, Haaland, I think he got 2 goals tonight. I'd love to see him at United one day, but I don't think we need to get ahead of ourselves on that front. Would you have, was it, I didn't check, I didn't count, get what you said. Was it Bruno your man of the match?
Yeah, I think obviously he didn't play the full 89 minutes, so you've got to take that into account. But I think, how good he was per minute, you would have to give Bruno the man of the match for me.
I think I probably agree. I think that someone's like what he did when he came in, Bruno. He just he didn't play the full game, but when he did play, it was phenomenal. And you can say that Van der Beek had a very good game. Maybe look at one or two others. Tellers, Macca's shouting off the camera saying Tellers was involved in the goals as well. But for me, Bruno was the difference.
Yeah,
come on. That,
he also played the ball through to Rashford, who had a goal disallowed for being offside. He was offside, but it wasn't like he only scored 2 goals. He was setting everything up. He was everywhere. It was fantastic.
I mean, I don't think we need to be football hipsters and go, it wasn't Bruno actually. If you watch the game, it was actually Van der Beek. No, I'm not.
Like Adam did it about 45 minutes in. Daniel James has tweeted after his goal, he scored the 4-1.
Good to see him get a goal, wasn't it, mate? Because he's been getting absolute pelters off everyone. And I think me and you were talking about this the other day, saying that you just give him a bit of patience. I know he's had time, but give him to the end of the season. And then if we're still on this conversation, you can move him on then. But he came on, gets a goal, happy days.
Yeah, and I said it during the watch along, like if he can do this, if this can be his role, where he comes on in games, not necessarily where we're winning games, because obviously you don't want some fair weather substitute who only plays when we're 3-1 up. But if we can bring Daniel James on when the game's slowing down a bit, which it may be in cup competitions a little bit more when teams have to press because otherwise you're out.
Yeah,
he came on and his speed. You saw Raphael was.
That is a nightmare, isn't it? If you're a fullback or whatever, or a defender, and it's like the 80th minute, you goosed, and then Dan James comes on, who is absolutely rapid. Yes, you can argue he's got to work on elements of his final ball or his finishing or whatever, but he's going to cause you issues.
Nice bit of composure for the goal as well. Goalie was right up to him, just side-footed around.
And that's one of those, isn't it? Like you go, it's an easy finish, that. But if he misses that, everyone's going berserk. Yeah. And it's like, oh, look at the state of him. He needed a goal. He finished it well. Happy days. We've actually got another quote from Bruno as well. Bruno's been speaking to, I think it was BT after the game. He said on his goal, it was a really good goal. I think he's talking about the goal the first one.
The second one was a tap in from 5 yards.
Yeah, was that when the keeper just...
I hope it's the first one.
It was a really good goal. I always say we need to be ready outside of the box to these kind of situations, or sometimes stop the counter. This time was to shoot. Maybe next time I will have to fall and take a yellow card. Very honest.
Yeah, and when he says that, sometimes stop the counter, do you think that's a direct reference to the worst counter-attack goal I've ever seen Man United concede 2 weeks ago against Istanbul? We have sometimes we have to stop the counter. Yeah, Demba Ba running clean through.
35-year-old
from
Demba Ba
inside his own half running clean through.
He looks like he's 18 years old because there's no one near him at all. That was ridiculous. Yeah, I like that from Bruno as well because he always has that element of him that he's demanding more and he wants more. Mac has just shouted out, he says, only Barca have scored more than us in this season's Champions League. And obviously, Barca are past it, they ain't going to win it. So I think that means we're going to win the Champions League.
Yeah, because it's going to be one of the 2 top scoring teams. Like I said, Barca are shit. Everyone got shit.
We're better than Barca.
We're going to win it.
It's, facts. United are buying on 12. Bayern won it last season, not going to win it 2 in a row. No. So there you go.
Because no one ever wins it 2 in a row. Unless you're Real Madrid, you don't win it 2 in a row.
Exactly.
So
do you know what I mean?
It's got to be us.
So it's obviously...
but it's a serious point here. And
I am being serious.
We may be overstepping the mark slightly with this conversation, but one of the big
Someone's just put you are the worst team in the comp. No, we're not.
Of course, we're just... Istanbul are worse than us.
We beat Leipzig 5-0 and just battered Istanbul 4-1, but we're the worst team in the group comp. Yeah, all right, mate. Whatever.
Yeah. Chelsea is still in it. The start of the season and even up until now has been one of the big things, other than United's contrasting home and away form, has been United's contrasting league and Champions League form.
Yes.
Do you think that we actually have somewhat? Obviously, there's a chance of winning the Champions League. We're in the tournament. Do you think we've actually got maybe a decent chance, or as good a chance as you could maybe hope for, of actually winning the Champions League.
100% right. Now, people will go, that's ridiculous because, people have this idea in their head that the Champions League is so much harder because under, like, Sir Alex, for example, won 13 league titles, 2 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
You think it's the Holy Grail, it's the one that's so hard to beat. It means you're the best in Europe. Elusive, I love that. Well done. But it's not because, Chelsea finished, 6th, they won it. Yeah. The Scousers finished 5th, they won it. Porto weren't the best team in Europe when they won it under Jose Mourinho. They didn't even deserve to beat us, to be fair. We were robbed. Don't get me started on that poor goal.
Real Madrid, they won 3 in a row, and I don't think they won a La Liga in that time, or they won 1 La Liga in those 3 years.
Exactly. You can turn up in the Champions League like once a fortnight or whatever, have a bit of luck, maybe go, a couple of decisions go your way, get through, and then, obviously have a good final or whatever. Spurs
Tottenham got to a final.
Exactly. It happens. But in the league, 38 games, it's much more difficult to fluke that. I don't think you can fluke a league unless you're Liverpool. Then you deserve to win it. So I do think, and I think people go, "Oh, you're deluded," but Manchester United doesn't matter what you think. We are Manchester United, and we're in the Champions League for a reason. Do you want to be Arsenal? Just we got to the Champions League, and that's it. We'll never win it. We'll never, barely ever get to some finals, and we'll be happy. Or are we in this to win it? And I think why not? You look at last season, some of the games we won. All right, City didn't have a great season, but we beat them twice in the league with good performances. We beat Chelsea, was it 3 times I think last season with good performances. We can beat decent teams. You look at our starting 11 when we've got our strongest team out. There's not many teams in Europe you think are better than us. I think it's just a case of when you scratch beneath that, the squad isn't the greatest. So I'm not saying we will win it, but I definitely think we've got a chance of it. And I think as a United fan, that's what you should be hoping for and looking towards, not just thinking, oh, well, maybe we get to the last 16. What's the fucking point in that?
And like you said, we've proven that we're a tough ask to beat in cup competitions. We got to 3 semi-finals last season, which isn't a trophy, I know that, but the team we lost to in the FA Cup was Chelsea, who, like you said, we had beat on 3 other occasions in last season. So it wasn't a team like, oh, they were just so much better than us, we couldn't beat them. We were unlucky, or on that day we didn't turn up against Chelsea, but it was a beatable team. Yeah. Even against Sevilla, where we had good chances against Sevilla.
We just ran out of steam. Daryl Gerrard, welcome to the academy, mate. Thanks for all your support. There's a start up as well, is it? Well, Brandon Williams made his Champions League debut. It was good wanting to see Williams get a game. Greenwood as well, just to see him on the pitch. Yeah. Because there's been so much drama and there's nonsense being spoken about Mason Greenwood. And obviously, some of what's going on isn't nonsense. We know he's not had the greatest of times. But obviously, a lot of the stories are just made up. So you just want to see him back playing football. Played okay tonight, came on, caused problems. It wasn't like the best Mason Greenwood performance we've seen, and he didn't obviously get on the score sheet, but it was solid. And you think he got an assist, and you think you can build on that, can't you?
Yeah, it's good to see him playing. It's good to see Brandon playing as well, because Brandon's hardly played this season either, has he? So it's not like, oh, just give him a minute. It means a little bit of something that he did come on and he did get some minutes. So it's good to see Mason come back. It's good to see Brandon come back as well. That's what I mean. It was one of those performances, 4-1, good result against a team that, whilst they're not great, they did beat us 2 weeks ago. But more importantly than that, I think there are a lot of underlying things in terms of people's performances, getting minutes, people playing 90 minutes, even the likes of Martial, who coming back from his 3 games out, just getting some more minutes under his belt, who's obviously having a bit of a tricky time this season. There was a lot of good things in this game.
Just quickly on Martial, what do you make of his performance? I know because Mark has got a goal, didn't he, sort of by proxy, really, with his penalty. So that's sort of, yours go okay, he got a goal. What did you make of Martial? I think on the score sheet, hasn't been prolific this season, but some of his performances have been a little bit underrated, I think.
Yeah, I think they have. I think in certain games he's been excellent and not got a goal. I don't think he was excellent tonight. I thought he was okay. He made a few, he always looks good on the ball. He always enters the box well. Sometimes it feels like he picks up his speed and then he gets into the box and then stops and doesn't always quite know where to go next. Like, he has a lot of shots that get blocked. He has a lot of he sort of stands still in the box looking for what to do. He's obviously not going through his best form. It's nice to have players around him that can bail him out, or not necessarily bail him out because it's not his team, it's not his job only to score. Yeah. But as the main striker, you would have hoped he'd got a few more goals this season. But he's obviously going through a bit of a dry spell. So I don't think he was bad. I really want him to get a goal against Southampton on Sunday. I think the sooner he can score in the league, the better. Because what is it? One shot he's had on target, or maybe that was before the West Brom game.
He scored in 6 Premier League games. I think he's last 6 Premier League games. Hopefully, Bruno will win a penalty or get a penalty and give it to him and let him score as well.
We depend. If we're 3-0 up, I'm sure he will. But if we're 1-0 up, he won't.
No. Just finally, there's a stat come up. Man United have won their last 7 home games in Europe. In European competition by an aggregate score of 24-2. That's what you love to see. That's what matters. Hey,
how confusing is United this season? We went through a literally the worst home start to a league season since we got relegated. We were concurrently going through the best ever away form that the club has ever gone through, and then now there's a stat coming out. We've won the last 7 home games in the Champions League in a row. Like we're on a ridiculous run of awful and brilliant records that seem to be happening at the same time. It's remarkable, really, isn't it?
It is. It's been a weird season so far, but a big win tonight. Hopefully that'll see us, it does see us edge closer to the knockout stages of the Champions League with a 4-1 win over Istanbul Basaksehir. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motte. You'll have Adam McCullough's coming up with his fan cam. You'll have Stephen House with his fan cam. You'll be in from Alex Baggers as well. You'll also have all the rest of it. You'll have 7 Reasons tomorrow. We've got the Tier 1 Transfer podcast tomorrow. We've got a great guest for that, so make sure you stay tuned. Yeah, you'll even hear from Ronaldo Brown, who's cheering off camera. So don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all the members that joined as well. This has been Stretford Paddock. Thanks for watching.
Head over to stretfordpaddock.bigcartel.com and check out the Paddock merch. And for a short time, you can get 20% off orders with 2 items or more using the code Paddock20. Go get on it.